All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, following the departure of head football coach Lincoln Riley last December, along with some key players such as quarterback Caleb Williams, the expectations were still high for the Oklahoma Sooners, who are consistently one of the top teams in the Big 12. And under new head coach Brent Venables, Oklahoma began this season with status quo as they won their first three games in dominating fashion, as Oklahoma won their first three games by at least 30 points. However, last week at home, the Sooners got a wake up call when they lost to K State 41 to 34. And things got even worse today for Oklahoma in Fort Worth against TCU as they were embarrassed 55 to 24. Now, last week in the loss to the Wildcats, Oklahoma gave up 509 yards, and they followed that up today by surrendering 668 yards to a TCU team that saw their first year head coach Sonny Dykes get his first Big 12 conference win. Now, the Dylan Gabriel injury was very tough for Oklahoma as they lost their quarterback in the first half to a head injury after he was going for the slide, and it's one of those where the defender for TCU really should have let up, but he didn't. But nonetheless, that was tough for Oklahoma. But even with that, their defense was not playing good. The Sooners found themselves down 27 to 10 after the first quarter, and they just never recovered. And it was just watching Oklahoma's defense, it seemed like they were in a different gear as opposed to TCU. TCU basically did whatever they wanted to offensively all afternoon against the Sooners. And with that said, the bottom line is Oklahoma is now 3-2, but more importantly, they're 0-2 in the Big 12 conference. Now, both Kendry Miller, the starting running back for TCU, along with Max Duggan, the starting quarterback, both had over 100 yards on the ground. And then on top of that, Duggan threw for more than 300 yards through the air with three touchdown passes. And it's welcome back to the Big 12 for Brent Venables. Of course, Brent Venables is the first year head coach at Oklahoma. He came to Oklahoma after having a solid run as the defensive coordinator at Clemson. And prior to that, he was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma under former head coach Bob Stoops before he and Stoops decided to go in different directions. And when you think about Venables, obviously you think about defensive football, but it's just not there right now. I'm not sure if he has the pieces or the guys that he wants, rather, for his system. So, it's going to be a transition period for Oklahoma, and you expected that somewhat this year anyway. But obviously, it's very clear right now. And then, of course, there's still going to be a transition period because Oklahoma has to get themselves ready to go to the SEC in a couple of years. And how is that going to look? But coming back to the present with the present day Sooners, this is not a good start for them in the Big 12, and it could get a little bit tougher because you look at it, you got TCU, pardon me, you lost to TCU today, but you face Texas next week in Dallas. That's always a tough game for Oklahoma. Not to say that they're going to lose, but it's always a tough game. And you simply throw the rule book out of the window when the Sooners and the Longhorns get together. After that, Oklahoma will host Kansas, and don't look right now, but the Jayhawks are 5-0. Uh, Oklahoma finishes the month at Iowa State. The Cyclones are always a tough team under Matt Campbell. You still got Baylor, you still got Oklahoma State in Bedlam, and then you finish up on the road at Texas Tech. So things went like they went from being so smooth from for Oklahoma to, like, what, at least right now, the last couple of weeks, they are on some shaky ground. So excuse me, even if Dylan Gabriel is unable to go next week for the Sooners against Texas, and regardless of who the quarterback is going to be, Oklahoma has to play a lot better defensively, because looking ahead to that game against Texas, the Longhorns are going to look to run the football a lot with Bijan Robinson. You can expect that. Excuse me. And if Oklahoma has had problems stopping the run in recent weeks because we saw K-State quarterback Adrian Martinez run up and down the field on them last week in Norman. And of course, once again with this TCU offense today, if Oklahoma's unable to stop the run, but John Robinson could easily be going off for a 200, maybe 250-yard day if the Sooners aren't prepped to go. So this was a tough one for they uh they they were basically behind from the word go. As TCU just came out, they were ready to play, and Oklahoma simply never recovered. So let's see how the Sooners and Brent Venables can bounce back next week in Dallas against the Longhorns. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.